Hello and welcome. I'm Lisa from Milk and Honey Photography and the Milky Way, and I'm here today to teach you a tutorial on making an entire maternity outfit. Now, a couple years ago, I had this vendor approach me and she made these most amazing tulle skirts, these lace tube dresses, and unfortunately over time she has gone out of business. And so what I've found is I've had so many people asking me where the vendor is, and unfortunately she's not around anymore. So I thought it would be really great to do a tutorial on how to make a lace tube dress as well as a tutu skirt. So that's what we're going to be doing today, and I'm actually going to throw in a little bonus of making a rhinestone belt in there as well. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial, I hope it helps you, and I hope you get crafting and have some fun. So y'all ready to get crafting? I know I am. So our first tutorial will be making a beautiful tulle skirt. So the items that you're going to be needing for this tutorial would be a 6-foot wide strips of tulle, and I get them in the 100-yard rolls, and I get 4 of them. You're going to be needing a pair of scissors as well as a piece of rope or elastic. I talk about having tassels on the end as well as a pair of scissors, and I also use a backdrop stand just to clamp everything to when I'm working. You can find something else. You could use 2 chairs, lots of different ideas, but these are the items in the tutorial that you will see today. You're also going to be needing a tape measure for this as well. All right, so here we are in my studio, and I'm going to go through some of the supplies that I'm going to show you for creating the tulle dress first. So what I've done is I've actually got rolls of these spools of tulle, and I actually purchased these online at a site called internationalgifts.com, and I'll post the link for you as well. And so what I did is for each skirt it takes 4 spools of the tulle, and this is 6-inch tulle, and it's in 100 yards. So I've purchased for each skirt 4 rolls for each skirt. You could do more. If you do less, I do find that it tends to be a little bit sparse, and I would rather have a poofier skirt than a less poofy skirt. So I always err on a little bit more poofy. And so yeah, I purchased these ones online. 4 of those, and that was the 100 yards of the 6-inch. And I didn't purchase the sparkly or anything like that. This is just the simple tulle, and the prices there are actually really phenomenal, and shipped to Canada. So my little Canadian buddies, it definitely ships to Canada. That's where I got it. So what I like to do is I actually picked up some crafts from the dollar store. I picked up some elastic, and this is basically the waistband of the skirt. You can use rope, you can use pretty much any material that you want. I like to use elastic. I find it's a little stretchier. And basically I just measure sort of around the waist. And I like to maybe around 35, 36 inches, maybe even up to 40 inches. It's elastic, so it's going to stretch, so it's not really a big deal. If you're going to be doing something that's not stretching, I would err on the side of caution and make a really long, maybe a 45, 50 inch rope just to have it tied on too. So this is going to be a no-sew tutorial, which is fantastic. I know I've got the sewing machine here. That's for the lace dress part. But the skirt, actually, this is the this is about half done. So what I've done is I do find that this is really quite a time-consuming task, so you may want to put on like a Netflix show, maybe Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. That's what I'm into watching right now while you craft. Just something to do, or listen to a podcast, or even watch some videos or something while your hands are busy. So to get started with this tutorial, I'm going to show you what I do. I actually have a strip of pre-cut tulle here, and I cut my strips into 10-foot long lengths. The 10-foot long lengths are fantastic, and what we're going to do is basically, what I like to do is pre-cut all my tulle, because then I'm ready to go. You are going to find they're going to stick together, and they are really staticky, so it kind of gets annoying. You may want to take a break once in a while if you get a little bit frustrated, because I did find I got a little annoyed. You could rub some bounce sheets on them just to help diffuse some of the static cling that you're going to be getting, because there is a lot, and the stuff sticks to everything. So just be mindful of that. So what I do is I keep one template piece, and I just kind of just like so. Give it a cut. Go over. And basically, I just keep doing this until I've gone through all 4 rolls. And so we just cut, 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 cut. And keep cutting. And I'm not super particular if I get things like different lengths, or I start to shorten it. I really don't find that's a big deal for me because I don't really mind having different lengths in the skirt. You can actually, after you finish crafting with it, you can cut different lengths and stuff. You could do different colors. You could do all different colors too. You could make a rainbow one. So I'm not going to make you sit and watch as I cut the entire rolls of tulle, because I'm about halfway done. So I've got this one and I've got this one. But I'm going to show you right now how I tie them on. What I do is I usually take 2 or 3 pieces of tulle instead of 1 by 1. I just found when I was doing it 1 by 1, I found it was really, really, really time consuming. And I found it really didn't make much of a big deal if I was doing more than one at once. So basically, we're just going to fold it in half. So there will be 5 feet on each side. And I do want to give a shout out to Lou Simonson, who is one of our students, and she's the one that inspired me to create this tutorial because she actually posted one in our alumni group. So that's another joy of being a Milky Way student. We learn, grow, and share together, but I definitely wanted to give a shout out. Thanks, Lou. This is awesome. I use this tutorial all the time. And so we really have to thank her for creating this. So what we're going to do is we are going to just put it over. And so what I've got here is I've got the elastic, and this is typically how I do mine. I've got it clipped and tied to my backdrop stand, and I'm just going to tie it literally in a knot. So it's halfway there, a knot, pull it through, and then make it nice and tight. And so what you're going to do is for the entire width of this skirt, you're just going to take these little groups of tulle and tie them on. Now what I've got on my tulle skirt is I tend to lose the ends, so I ended up picking up these tassels and that I cut in half from just the dollar store. And so what I found is I'm able to just add them to the end so I can find the ends when I'm tying it on my client a little bit easier. So I'm just going to show you one more. I'm going to take this long piece, going to put it on halfway. And I'm not really particular if it's over or under how I'm tying it. I think you can try both ways and just see what works for you. So basically what this is creating is 5 feet of length on either side because these are cut to 10-foot long pieces. You are going to have a fairly long skirt. If you find that it's a little bit too long, you can always trim it after. So this would be our tutorial on the skirt, and as you can see, it's coming together beautifully, and I'll show you a picture of what it looks like when it's done. Okay, we're going to be getting ready and doing our lace tube tutorial. Now the items that you're going to require in this tutorial would be having a piece of lace that you can get from fabricdepot.com, I believe, or you can get it at your local fabric store. Just look for stretchy lace. I'm using a pink lace. There's many, many, many different colors on the market. You will have so much fun shopping for these lace pieces. And what you're just looking for are pieces that stretch really well. You're going to be needing a pair of scissors as well as a tape measure just to measure things, as well as a sewing machine, or you can hand stitch it, but I definitely would suggest the quickness of the sewing machine and some pins to hold things together. So now that we've completed our tulle skirt, now it's time to make the lace sheath dress. Now this actually is super, super easy. It looks like it's this big, hard project, but it's literally a lace tube. So what we're going to do is we're first going to take this piece of lace that you can pick up from at just Fabricland. I'm in Canada, so we've got Fabricland and Fanny's Fabrics here. You can look at fabric.com. What you're going to look for is something with a lot of stretch. because we're going to be putting our maternity clients in these, and we want these to stretch really nicely around them. So what you can also do is you can also buy a piece of jersey material, and this was actually my plan, but I never ended up getting to the store today or this week. So I'm just going to show you, but I'll give you the idea. What I would actually love to do is actually get a nice piece of pink jersey material. It's also stretchy. And so when I do sew this all together, it's going to be this beautiful tube that has some coverage. So, I mean, if you decide you don't and you just want to do the lace tube just so it's a little bit more sheer, you could get a bandeau and have them wear that underneath. You could even dye it with ripped fabric, or you could even get a smaller piece of jersey material and just make a cover here, and you could make a cover here if you wanted to just use it as a tube. You could also make 2 sheath dresses. So as you can see, you don't really need that much. I'm really just going to be cutting about 30 inches, which is about this way. I'm going to cut 30 inches, and I'm just going to sew this tube together. So what you could do essentially is double it up and make a double tube, and you just go from there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to measure 30 inches. Now I'm cutting it along the side I find is the most stretchy, and I'm finding that this side is. So I'm going to do, that's about 15 there. And that's about 30. See, as you can see, I'm not really the most technical savvy crafty crafter, but I get it done. So we're going to try to cut this as much as we can on a straight line all the way down. I'm sure that you all have some better techniques than I'm going to be doing, but essentially what I'm going to try to do is just cut this. Okay, so we have roughly a 30-inch long So really what we're going to do is fold it in half. Yeah, we're good. I'm going to fold it in half and just stitch up the side. So this will be the back. As you can see, I'm kind of a messy cutter, but this is going to do the trick. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pin it together, just so it's easier for when we sew it together. Okay, so use my sewing machine, and hopefully this is going to work for me. We've been having some issues with this also because I moved out at 17 and I'm 37, so it's a 20-year-old sewing machine that I probably have used like a handful of times, but we'll see if this works. Okay, so we are going to flip this inside out. So the seam is on the inside. And now we have a beautiful lace tube dress. And you can trim this. Mine is actually quite long. I could actually have cut off a little bit off the bottom. But what I like to do is I prefer to keep them long because I can double them up and just use the whole thing as doubled up. To pull it down. You can use this as a skirt as well if you double it up. So I typically kept mine as long as the I guess this sheet of lace that I got. So I pretty much just wanted to make sure that I was cutting it on where I'm going to get the most stretch. So as you can see, it's going to fit a pregnant woman. You may want to work with the dimensions on the 30 inches. You can go bigger, you can go smaller. These are fairly inexpensive to make. And as you can see, they are quite beautiful. It's a beautiful set together. And that would be the lace tube that goes with the tutu. This tutorial will be on the Rhinestone Belt, and what you're going to need for this tutorial is a pair of scissors, a glue gun, a couple pieces of ribbon that you can get from Michael's, and a bead piece. I've got a rhinestone bead piece that I show in my demonstration from Michael's, and you can check your local dollar store, craft store, or Hobby Lobby or Michael's to see if you can find those pieces there. A tip is I found it in the bead section. So if I didn't say, you're going to need a tape measure and a pair of scissors for that as well. And I do talk about an optional needle and thread in the tutorial as well. All right, next we're going to make a beautiful, simple rhinestone belt that's going to be going just sort of like as a bandeau just underneath the breasts and the belly for just a little bit added extra glam to add to your little ensemble that we've created today. So what we're going to do is I've got this ribbon that I've picked up from Michael's, and I'll check the dimensions. I have 7/8 inches by 7 yards, and I also picked up this pretty little jewel and from the bead gallery section at Michael's. And what I was looking for was just something that's pretty and rhinestoney, because basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to be hot gluing it onto my ribbon. There's a couple different ways that you could do it. If you're finding that it's not working with hot glue and not staying, what I would suggest, and actually maybe I'll show you 2 different methods of doing it, and we'll just figure out what one is going to work for you. So we're going to get started, and I'm just basically going to be cutting a piece of this ribbon, and I'm going to be cutting it about 72 inches just to give myself a lot of tail end of ribbon, so when I tie it on my model, and if I have a bigger model, it's going to fit everybody. So let's see, we've got 60, and then I'm just going to add maybe another 12-ish too. That a little bit on an angle. Perfect. Okay, so we have this wonderful long piece of ribbon, and what I'm going to do for this first example is I'm going to attempt to hot glue the entire strand of it onto the ribbon. And so what I want to do is I want to lay it out just so that's nice in the center. I'm just going to take our ribbon here, and we are going to hot glue it. Trying to keep it as straight as possible. I've got a little plastic end here. Perfect, so we're gonna let that dry. And I'm gonna show a second method as well. So the second method is going to require some thread because we're going to be tying it on. And so it'll be a needle and thread. So it's a little bit of a sewing project. I'm kind of a hot glue gun kind of girl. So I think what I'm going to do for this example is I am going to hot glue it. I'm going to see how it holds, and I may after just reinforce it with a needle and thread. I'm probably not going to show you that because honestly I don't even know where my needle and thread is. So we're going to try this, but my tip to do it this way would be to reinforce it with a needle and thread, because I don't think each side is going to be able to hold it. So what we're going to do is we're taking our ribbon and we're going to be cutting about 36 inches for each side. So what I'm looking for to do with this one is, instead of having it glued on right on the center like this one, I would rather it be joined on like that. So what I'm going to try to do is, I think I'm going to just glue it onto the ends here, but then after we record, I am going to be adding a needle and thread and just doubling it up there. Yeah, so I think having that reinforced with a needle and thread would make it awesome, but I think I would prefer probably this setup over just gluing it on top of the ribbon if you actually don't even know how to thread a needle and thread. This one will do. This will be really cute on it. So there's a couple different options. I think for me, I prefer the bling of this one. So I'm going to see if I can just bring the camera closer and show you up close. So the front one is the first one that I did, and the back one is the second that I would suggest reinforcing with a needle. Well, wasn't that fun? I hope you learned so much about how to create this amazing, beautiful setup that you'll be able to add to your maternity wardrobe for your clients. And what I love is sky's the limit. You can use any colors. You could use different colors with different colors. I tend to go monochromatic, but you could make an amazing rainbow tulle skirt if you wanted to. I really hope that you've enjoyed this. I have loved making this for you. And I'm Lisa from Milk and Honey Photography and the Milky Way. And this is Milky Way TV, your weekly dose of inspiration on business, life, and photography. Thanks for stopping by.